Earlier this year, Republicans in Congress pushed through a omnibus piece of legislation, and they call it the One Big Beautiful Bill. But is it really all that beautiful? Well, we ran the numbers for Iowa's 1st District, from Maquoketa to Indianola, and from Keokuk up to Newton and everywhere in between. And here's the plain truth. The folks at the very top come out on top, while the rest of us are told to tighten our belts. Let me show you 3 simple pieces of math that add up to a big payday for billionaires, and then what that means in real life down here in rural Iowa. When budgets get squeezed, rural communities feel it first. That hospital that's 30 minutes away, the grocery store that operating on Main Street, the clinic that takes your kid's Medicaid card, those places, they don't have a cushion. So if funding gets cut or red tape gets thicker, it becomes more difficult for them to operate, they wobble. And the One Big Beautiful Bill Act is a gigantic federal law. It locks in major tax breaks for the wealthiest households and some big business owners. And it trims and complicates basic government services like Medicaid and SNAP, right? The things that keep families and local businesses afloat when times are tough and in times of heightened economic uncertainty like we're facing right now. So if you have enough money that you are able to leave behind to your family or your kids more than $15 million per person, congratulations. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act keeps that shield very high. If it had dropped closer to, say, $7 million, like it was on track to do, ultra-wealthy estates would have paid a lot more in tax. Keeping it high means millions in taxes avoided for the richest families in America. Family farms almost never owe federal estate tax at today's levels. This mostly helps people with private jets, not folks with a combine and a mortgage. Speaking of private jets, the OBBBA literally gives a gigantic write-off to businesses that purchase private jets. The private jet industry right now is going through a renaissance of sorts as all these businesses are rushing out to take advantage of this tax credit. Second way is through the pass-through qualified business income that is now made permanent. Say a high-earning owner takes $1 million in qualified pass-through business income. A 20% reduction on that is $200,000 right off the top. At top tax rates, that means that's a 5-figure plus annual tax cut for that person every year. Yes, some smaller shops get a slice, but the biggest checks go to folks already at the top of the income ladder. People who have the accountants on hand to help make sure that they can maximize it. And the third way is through the SALT cap, or the state and local tax SALT cap. If you are stuck at a $10,000 cap, a higher cap means a much bigger deduction. That mostly helps high-income households in high-tax areas or people who own multiple properties. Here in Iowa, some homeowners will benefit, but again, the biggest gains are going to stack up near the top. So there's 3 different ways right here where the benefits all accrue to the top earners, in particular, those billionaire families. But what's the trade-off here? When federal support for Medicaid gets squeezed, rural hospitals wobble. They're already on thin margins, and Medicaid is a lifeline for many rural hospitals. So you lose patients to paperwork, lose patients or payments to cuts, you get service closures, right? You have OB units that close, psych beds that are no longer available. Even reduced ER hours become possible. That's not politics, that's just a reality of operating a hospital in rural America today. The other trade-off that we see here is through the SNAP food assistance program as well. SNAP keeps food on the table and dollars in our local groceries. Make the rules more complicated like they have, people fall off, not because they're lazy, but because they missed a form or a callback or an appointment of some sort. That's more food bank lines. That's less cash at the corner store and a hit to small town grocers. That's less money going through the local economy. Every dollar of food assistance is a dollar of stimulative economic activity. 42 million Americans rely on SNAP benefits to afford to eat and to feed their family every single day. And in our district, here in Iowa 1, a big share of our neighbors live outside city limits. We rely on that one clinic that still takes new patients, the volunteer EMTs who leave supper on the stove to run out and save lives, the grocery store that keeps milk and eggs within reach at an affordable price. So if the one big beautiful bill hands $1 million breaks to the very top while clipping those basic services here at home, that's really not conservative. It's certainly not smart. It's just costly, cruel, and inflicts a whole mess of pain on the working class. Also, the rich can get richer. So if you think our tax code should build strong towns, should help keep hospitals open, and not supercharge the wealth gap, call your representatives and tell them. Share this with a neighbor. If you can, chip into your local food pantry or your hospital foundation. That money stays right here in our communities and will have a multiplier effect as it moves throughout the local economy. Thanks again for watching. We'll keep doing the math over here. You can decide what adds up, what doesn't.